Hey everybody, Alex from SeemsGoodMagic.com here, and today we're going to do a little draft simulator for Amonkhet. It has not quite come out online yet. That's going to be tomorrow, and believe you me, I will have a video posted ASAP as soon as it comes online. I hope everyone is having a nice pre-release weekend with at their local game stores. So we're going to do a little draft simulator. Now, I definitely need to clarify that these are not great indicators of how drafts are actually going to be when you're playing with real people, because bots are basically drafting alongside you here at my table. But it'll at least give me a little bit of experience with card evaluation for this new format, a bit of preparation. So I'm just going to go ahead and click draft and we'll get this on the way. All right. Well, obviously picking Samet here, even though he's two colors, or she's two color, actually don't know. 3/4 flash, double strike. I mean, so many abilities. So, I mean, I at least want to be red-green. This feels like a card that you'd probably want to build around. I mean, that is just so powerful. Such a bomb card. Why does it have so much? Why does it have so many things? Yeah, it's really incredible how strong that card is. All right, let's look what else is in here, though. We have this Time to Reflect, which I think, I mean, is certainly good if you're in a zombie build. Baleful Amonkhet. I like that card a lot. I mean, at worst, it's a 3/2 lifelink for 3, which is still very good. You don't even have to pay for the lifelink. It just has it. That's really good. And it's a Crocodile Demon. I mean, how can you go wrong? Consuming Fervor seems playable in a hyper aggro deck. It's basically Red's Unstable Mutation. I like the Quarry Hauler. Dissenter's Deliverance is just good because it's cycle, but other than that, not that exciting. Same with Haze of Pollen. In fact, cycling 3 makes Haze of Pollen, I would say, worse for a... Well, is it worse for a cycling deck than Dissenter's Deliverance, even though the ability is probably overall more relevant? I would still say I'd rather cycle for 1 and have a less relevant ability for a cycling deck. So I would go with Dissenter's Deliverance if I had the choice between those two in a cycle deck. Next we have Forsake the Worldly. Once again, certainly playable. It's got cycling. 2 is kind of where you want to cap out. 3 is definitely a clunky cycling cost. Anything else? Illusory Wrappings, pretty reasonable blue removal, but I don't love it, especially with if there's +1/+1 counter related stuff. It does seem like this format's basically all -1/-1 counter stuff, though, because of all of these weird little abilities. I'm interested in Trespasser's Curse. Don't worry, I won't go through every card in every pack. I'm just sort of getting a feel for everything right now. So, yeah, I mean, it's pretty obviously Samet, so we'll take her or him. Oh, wow, Heaven and Earth. Well, the reason I like this card is it's on color with our Samet, right? But on top of that, the Earth ability is actually very good. It's like a board wipe for ground guys. You get a board wipe for both colors, so I feel like that's a completely reasonable follow-up pick. And even if they don't have any flyers and you're in red-green, you can just pay 1 green at instant speed, get it in your graveyard, and then do Earth to actually wipe the board. So I like Heaven and Earth a lot. I think it's going to be a highly, highly playable card in this format. I like it more than the Charioteer. Lay Claim is interesting because it's a powerful effect at uncommon, but it is 7 mana, but it has cycling. So I actually think Lay Claim is going to be really good too. Just the fact that it's got the cycling on it means you don't have to worry about getting to 7 mana. Sandworm is, you know, fun. All these cycling cards are very difficult for me to evaluate just because cycling is so good. But yeah, I think Heaven and Earth, completely reasonable follow-up pick here, so we'll take it. Okay. So first, why don't we take a look at the on-color cards and see if we like them. So I'm interested in this Manticore of the Gauntlet. It's at worst, it's a 5-mana 4/3 that deals 3 to an opponent, which is pretty good, actually. I think that is good for an aggro red deck to top out at. You can just, if you have enough of these dudes, you can just kill your opponent, just bolt their face a couple times. The Entangler is a 2-mana 2/1 with Trample, and then you can exert it and make it a 3/3 until end of turn. Also very reasonable for a red aggro deck, especially in a format that has the +3/+1 Actually, I guess that card gives trample, doesn't it? So it's a little redundant with that, but any sort of buff effect just makes that trample that much more relevant. Let's see what the other cards do. So Dispossess, very unexciting, obviously. I'm very interested in playing this Faith of the Devoted. This seems like a very, very fun cycle card to abuse. A 4-point life swing is very relevant. So I like that Faith of the Devoted. And then, Zenith Seeker seems very expensive. So I'm not a huge fan of that. 4-mana 2/2, not that great. The effect is good if you have some fatties that you need to give evasion to, but it's a bit too clunky for my liking. I'm sure I'll play it a few times, though. We'll give it a try at some point. But for now, yeah, what do we want? I guess that is a relevant question. There's this Gift of Paradise, which lets you splash things. So that would at least let us use Samet's ability, the untap another target creature thing. But we don't need to actively go after that. So we could take the Entangler because it's a 2-drop. And it can attack as a 3/3. You know, that's actually pretty good. I think we'll try out the Entangler. I think when in doubt, and you've got a choice between some on-color things, I would say going for the cheaper card is usually correct when it comes to creatures especially. But I am very interested to see how good this Manticore is overall. Goblin Piker in general, not very good, but every other turn attacking as a 3/3 trample for 2 mana is actually, I feel like, pretty good. And you don't have to exert it either, so on an empty board, you get to attack for 2, and then if you need it to get in against some blockers, make it a 3/3. I like it. We'll take the Entangler. All right, follow-up pick once again. So we have Pouncing Cheetah, which I'm pretty interested in. I feel like this card is actually good, and you get I think the surprise block capability of Pouncing Cheetah is what makes it so good for green, because now it's sort of a green removal spell in a sense, right? They attack you with a 3 toughness creature, you flash in Cheetah and block it, or you flash in after they've attacked with their big thing, and then you get to attack back with it. So I think the Cheetah is actually pretty good. Flash is good. There's Cartouche of Zeal, which I'm definitely going to be playing with. I think that's a very powerful card too. But I am still, I think, just going to take the Pouncing Cheetah over the Aura and be happy enough with that. Okay, next we've got Hapatra's Mark, right? So what does this do? You can give something hexproof and then remove all -1/-1 counters from it. Seems reasonable to me, right? It's not amazing, but I like at least having it for sideboard. Giving hexproof is good. I wish it gave something else instead, maybe like prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to it. But remove all -1/-1 counters from it is something that a green deck is going to want. Otherwise, we have Pursue Glory, which has cycling. Better if you have a bunch of tokens, and then another Gift of Paradise for some mana fixing. I should have mentioned it also ramps a little bit, so Gift of Paradise is pretty good. There's the Farmland, which lets you play more colors, and we have a lot of blue in here. A couple with Embalm. I forgot about this Sacred Excavation. I actually don't think this card's that great. Just 4 mana seems like a lot to get back cyclers that you probably want to cycle again. I'm sure it's just fine for a cycling deck, but it's definitely clunky. We have the Ta Crop Elite 2 in white. I mean, we still have a little bit of incentive to splash white, right, for Samet, but what am I taking here? So Hapatra's Mark, it's early enough where you certainly are likely to find -1/-1 counter related stuff in both green and red. So maybe Hapatra's Mark is what we want to try here, and just maybe see Pursue Glory later. It's not bad though, is it? No, it's not bad. I mean, it's certainly expensive for +2/+0, but it's got cycling too. We'll go with the Hapatra's Mark for now. All right. Follow-up pick. So we have Giant Spider, which is a good defensive card. We have Manticore of the Gauntlet, which is a good offensive card. But the beauty of Giant Spider is it goes back a long time, and it's always been good. I don't remember a format where Giant Spider was ever bad. So I do kind of feel like taking it over the Manticore, especially since we already have a powerful finisher in Samut. And we do actually have some more of a late game card in Heaven and Earth, right? Basically a green-red board wipe spell, which I would say makes Giant Spider a lot better. Because you play your Giant Spider, you have a good blocker for their attackers, and then you have Earth that you can play for like 3. Your Spider lives. You board wipe, presumably, a lot of theirs. So I think we're going to go with Giant Spider over Manticore here for that reason. And move on. Okay. So we have Spring in mind. Now, even if we can't do the Mind, Spring, and maybe we can do the Mind, especially if we wheel some Gift of Paradise or anything like that. But this lets us ramp and fix as well. It's a little bit expensive for that effect, though. We have this Failure and Comply, right? So this bounces, and then Comply. I have to turn my head to remember what this does. Until your next turn, your opponent can't cast spells with the chosen name. So basically, it bounces a spell back to their hand. And remember, this only works with spells on the stack, not things on the board. And then they can't cast that spell until my next turn. It's not that good. Watches of the Dead is fine because it's a 2-drop with a semi-relevant ability in this format since we've got Embalm cards and Aftermath. But the fact that they get to choose 2, I feel like they still are going to end up getting some of that in their graveyard. We also have this Hooded Brawler. Now, the beauty of Hooded Brawler is that it attacks as a 5-power creature every other turn for 3 mana, or just 3 mana, 3/2. I feel like that is pretty good. So we probably are going to go with Hooded Brawler over the Cartouche once again. Same reason as before. I think that we're setting up to be more of a mid-range deck. Mid-range deck with good board wipe and big finishers, and less of an aggro deck where Cartouche is really going to shine. So let's take this Hooded Brawler. Hooded Brawler is also a card that works well alongside Heaven and Earth, right? You exert it. It's 5/4. Maybe they take it because they don't want to trade off things for a 5/4, and then you, once again, Earth for 3. And blow up their board, maybe keep yours. I guess in order to do that, you'd have to keep Earth a little bit more of a surprise, which can be difficult since you have to pay the extra mana, but possible nonetheless. All right, so we have Spidery Grasp and Fling on color now. Probably a Spidery Grasp over Fling. Fling is more of a, there's definitely an active treason effect in here where Fling really shines, but I think overall Spidery Grasp is just a very good combat trick. I'm happy to play it, and probably will work well with both Trample and Double Strike, as you might imagine, so we'll take that. So we have Consuming Fervor, Dissenter's Deliverance, and Haze of Pollen. Well, we have the choice between these two. I think we're going to go with the Deliverance. If we end up getting any sort of cycling bonuses, I'd rather have this. It's also a better sideboard card, I would say. There's not really a lot of times you want to sideboard into fog effects. And Consuming Fervor, yeah, once again, I'm not wanting to be aggressive. Consuming Fervor does have good synergy with Hapatra's Mark. You can give it hexproof and then remove all the -1/-1 counters you put on it. It's actually not bad. And it's pretty good on an Entangler. Maybe I just talked myself into it. It's also an uncommon over a common. All right, we'll go with Fervor. We'll give it a try. Ooh, wield the Charioteer. There's also Benefaction of Veronis. This card is going to be good if you have a lot of Embalm or Aftermath, because you can choose one of your cards that doesn't have it and then put the rest in your graveyard and maybe get some. It's basically like giving you more card advantage on top of the creature and enchantment you may pull from it. So Benefaction seems like a good card for certain decks. Not ours yet, but we're going to go with the Charioteer. Just very efficient, and giving all your other guys trample. It has trample. It's just good. So we have nothing on color here. We'll go for the best card, which is, I would say, well, the Dissenter is one of those cards that's going to be good as a enabler for your -1/-1 counter effects. And it spits out a zombie, which is a relevant creature type in this format. We also have the Cursed Minotaur, which I think is actually going to be very good. 3 mana, 3 power, menace, no cost. It's also a zombie. Cursed Minotaur is going to be a great card in this format, I think. So there's also the Skirmisher, 2-drop, 2/1 that embalms for 4, so you have to kill it a couple times, but it's just a piker. Nothing exciting. I think we'll go with the Cursed Minotaur. Not going to play any of them anyway. this is a mill card, but there's not a lot of mill support in this format at all. And then we have the Sparring Mummy, which has a little interesting effect for a zombie creature and another skirmisher. So none of these cards really matter. I guess we'll go with the skirmisher. A lot of blue cards here at the end. Slitherblade is cool because it's a 1-drop, 1 power, and it's unblockable. You buff it up, and they just can't stop it. So I guess we'll take the Slitherblade, and then we'll go Scribe. All right, pack number 2, and we're off. Okay, so choices now that I'd want to first pick. At this point, I would say that we're very solidified into green-red. So we can go Quarry Hauler, which I think is nice and efficient. We can take another Pouncing Cheetah, which I like. The Quarry Hauler is good with anything in our deck currently. Not especially, right? I guess it's cool with Consuming Fervor. You can remove one of the -1/-1 counters. So that is actually pretty good. 4 mana, 4/3. Still kind of tempted to take another Pouncing Cheetah. Basically, the reason is, once again, it's a great defensive card against attackers. So it's like a little removal spell in green, which I like. But it also is just cheaper. You tend to get more clogged with 4-drops than you do with 3-drops. And plus, Cheetah trades for Quarry Hauler, so kind of nice. So let's go with the Pouncing Cheetah here. All right, now we have Mouth and Feed. That's got to be the pick, right? This card is great. 3-drop, you get a 3/3 Hippo, and then it aftermaths, and you can draw a card for each creature you control with power 3 or greater. So green card advantage, obviously unusual. So Mouth and Feed, great. Flameblade Adept, a good cycle synergy card. Another Entangler, a Benefaction. So let's just take Mouth and Feed, move on. Okay, so we have this Blood Rage Brawler now. This requires you to discard, but it's a 2-drop 4/3, which is just really strong. I feel like we probably just want to slam that, even though it's some pretty strict card disadvantage for the most part. I mean, I guess it does have some, once again, I guess you could discard Heaven and Earth and you still end up getting the Earth effect, but we got to go with the Brawler here. It's just so efficient. 2-drop 4 power. You really cannot get much more efficient than that. Brawler into Charioteer seems really good too. So let's take, let's just take our Brawler and move on. We've also got this Minotaur Sure Shot. It's got Reach, which I like. So I think this card is actually going to be very good too. The Sure Shot. Just like, it's one of those cards where any sort of inflatable effect in limited is really good. It gives you a mana sink in the late game. So it's just very good at all points in the game. I think the Sure Shot's going to be the real deal too at common. A good card to get. You probably don't want to get a bunch of them, but you're happy to have at least one because of the reach. Minotaur Archer is a cool creature type too. Let's take the Brawler. Okay, so now we have this Soul Scar Mage, 1-drop, 1/2 prowess, and then if you burn something, or a source you control would deal non-combat damage to a creature, you can put -1/-1 counters on it instead. I like it. I think it's definitely worth taking over the Manticore and the Companion. It's just more exciting. Admittedly, it's not amazing for us right now because we seem to have more creatures than non-creature spells, and we actually don't have any burn spells yet, right? I guess we have the Earth. So the Earth could just, actually, Soulscar Mage into Earth is pretty cool. Just put a ton of -1/-1 counters on anything you can't kill. I like it. The effect is interesting enough where I definitely want to take it here. And it's a rare. How can you go wrong? So Bantu's Monument, not on color. With this Javelineer, 4-drop 2/3, uncommon, and then it can deal damage to a creature an opponent controls or X number of instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard. I think this card's actually fine. Even if you only end up dealing 1 damage, you can kill something. Obviously, you want to deal more than that. Pathmaker Initiate, power 2 or less, can't be blocked. I mean, don't have a ton that works with that at the moment. Although it is cool, I'll admit, it's cool with exert effects like Entangler, because you make it unblockable and then you attack and exert and you get in for an extra damage, but not that big of a deal. I'm trying to think if this Javelineer is even worth it, right? We've got Heaven and Earth, Spidery Grasp, Hapatra's Mark, Mouth and Feed. That's not bad. That's actually a decent start. I'm going to try out this Javelineer. I think the fact that it can just kill something your opponent controls makes it potentially good enough, and there's nothing we're really passing that's super exciting anyway. I think Initiate's Companion is certainly okay. It's a 2-drop 3-power creature with an upside, so I like it, but we'll take the Javelineer. I'm interested. Okay, now we have another crack at Initiate's Companion. So Embalmer's Tools makes things cheaper. Embalm effects, not really interested in that. Another Spidery Grasp is fine as well. But we're going to go with the Companion here. Get another 2-drop 3-power creature. So we have another crack at a Javelineer, another Companion, another Entangler, and another Gift of Paradise. Approach of the Second Sun, kind of a cool little win con. You cast it, you gain 7, and then in 7 turns you win the game. But 7 turns is a long time to wait, especially in Limited. So we'll take the Javelineer once again. Even though, like I said, 2-drops are typically more premium than 4-drops, it's still early enough where we can get some more instants and sorceries and really utilize these Javelineers effectively. Kill things. So now we have Spring, which is a sorcery, so we'll take it. It's on color. Helps us ramp. Nothing really on color for us here. Anointed Procession is good with Embalm. Could just take another Minotaur, I guess. Yeah, we'll probably do that. Doesn't really matter. Okay, so Benefaction of Ronus is starting to look a lot better now, right? Because now that we have 2 Javelineers, it feeds it in more way than one. So actually, I really like taking Benefaction here over Flameblade Adept. Adept has great synergy with our Blood Rage Brawler, but we don't really have cycle effects, so let's just take the Benefaction. And I think this card's actually good anyway. Potentially card advantage. We don't really have enchantments outside of Consuming Fervor right now, do we? But like I said, just the fact that we have 2 Javelineers, I think makes the Benefaction pretty good. So now we can take the Cartouche of Zeal. It's on color. It's a powerful card. I mean, I assume it's powerful regardless if you're hyper aggro or not, just because getting rid of a blocker for a turn and buffing and giving haste, it's just a nice series of things that you get for 1 mana. So of these 3, what's the most powerful? Renewed Faith, good for cycling. Those Who Serve is just a decent body for 3 mana, and Inoketra's Name is a powerful buff effect if you're pure zombies, but whatever, we'll take the Renewed Faith, it doesn't matter. Neither of these matter. And last pick, playable card. Okay, so Scattered Groves does in fact let us do the untap all creatures effective Samut, or untap another target creature effective Samut, but let's see what else we have in here. Deem Worthy. Yeah, I think we just got to take this. 4 mana, cycle, deal 2, so draw, deal 2 is great, and then 7 damage when you need it. But we got to see what else we have. Watchful Naga. I think I like this card more than most, but it'll probably end up disappointing me. 3 mana, 2/2. In green is very clunky, actually, for green. The effect is good, but you only get to do it every other turn, maybe. So, it's not that great. I think we're just going to take Deem Worthy here. There's also this Nimble Blade, Kenra. It's just got Prowess, which is fine for us, not great. And then Shed Weakness, which is perfectly acceptable in green, and another Giant Spider. But we're going to take the removal here. We're going to take the Deem Worthy and be happy with that. So we'll take it. Ooh, Neheb the Worthy. That's cool. What do we want, though? I don't think we want to try and splash for Neheb. We can because we have the, whatever that 3-drop. We have the Spring, but we're not going to, I don't think we're going to take it. It's cool. We actually have a Minotaur, too, which is funny. But I think we're much more interested in the Bitterblade Warrior. It's another 2-drop on color. And I think I'd rather have it than the Initiate. You can only get that Death Touch on attacks, but I don't have a problem with that. Lets you beat in with a 3-power Death Toucher. So there's just some spots where it's going to be really good, I think, and it's got a reasonable cost. So we'll take it. Okay, next we have Thresher Lizard, which has a pretty good upside. Another Nefcrop Entangler, another Hooded Brawler, another Spidery Grasp. So some decent choices here. We could just diversify and take the Lizard, which is fine. Our curve is actually pretty low. So I don't have a problem with that. Why don't we take a look at our removal right now? We have Deem Worthy. We have the Spider Grasp combat trick. And we have Heaven and Earth, and that's it. So we only have 3 removal spell / tricks here. Maybe we want another Spider Grasp if I'm worried we don't get enough. I mean, I assume we have a ton of creatures at the moment. I think that's a safe assumption. So we could take the Spidery Grasp. Helps with our Javelineers as well. I'm okay with that. We'll take a second Spider Grasp. I have some concerns we're not going to end up with enough removal, so it makes sense to me. All right, now I think we just got to take the Magma Spray, get another removal. Possibly Wield of Benefaction. There's an Evolving Wilds in here. Onward to Victory. Kind of cool. But still not worth splashing the white for. And Onward on its own is only okay, I think. But Magma Spray, obviously great. So take that. Now we have Synchronized Strike. I think this card is actually very good. Because you untap the creatures and it buffs 2 creatures and you get to untap them. I feel like this is good. I actually like it more than Spider Grasp, I think. Although Spider Grasp gives reach too, right? Yeah, that is really good. We'll take it over all these creatures, so I like it. Synchronized Strike. Now we have Fling, Violent Impact, Haze of Pollen, 6 cents. Don't want the Haze of Pollen, don't want the 6 cents. So it's really between Fling and Violent Impact. And Violent Impact is basically just okay because it's got Cycling. So it still feeds our Javelineers and possibly draws us a card. Or we can take the Fling, which if one of our dudes is going to die anyway, you can just fling it at one of their creatures. It's usually, typically not worth it. But you can also fling it at their face, maybe to just kill them. So I think it's probably better for our deck than Violent Impact. Okay, Sandworm Convergence is a pretty cool card, actually. It's a great way to finish your opponent off. And I guess, I mean, we don't really need Gift of Paradise anyway, right? So we'll take it because it's interesting. I'm not entirely sure we're going to end up playing it, though. So Blazing Volley is a sideboard card, which is reasonable. And then Desert Ceradon, which is what I think we just want. Actually, nah, I guess we take the Hooded Brawler. I think Hooded Brawler's better. We don't need the Cycler. And 3-drop 3/2 with the upside. Exert is just, that Exert upside is very good. So now we can take the Watchful Naga, but I think we're just going to take the Shed Weakness. Could take the second Giant Spider, too. Giant Spider is really good. But Shed Weakness, are we up to enough tricks at this point, I guess? Let's count all of our instants and sorceries. We have Heaven and Earth, Petra's Mark. I don't think the Mark's going to get in here, though. The Heaven and Earth, the Spidery Grasp. We have 2 Spidery Grasps, right? Benefaction. So we have like 5 or 6, 7 maybe. Yeah, we're getting up there. So we could just take the Giant Spider. It's a very solid 4-drop. 2/4 reach is good. We're going to go with Spider here. We can take the Desert, I guess. Well, do we want to splash Neheb? We're still not going to splash for Neheb. It's cool, though. It is a cool card. But, well, I'm not going to play Desert. All right, whatever. We'll take Neheb. Entangler versus Flameblade Adept. Probably just Entangler. Get another Exert dude. We don't have enough Cyclers or discard effects to make the Adept good enough, I think. For diversity, I guess we'll take an Impact. Don't really need this land. Although you can replace a mountain with it, can't you? Yeah, because then you can just cycle land if you're flooded. It does intertap, though. I just don't need the Nimbleblade Kenra, I don't think. Okay, so let's just take a look at what our deck probably is. Sort the pool. All right, so we're clearly playing Samet. Deemworthy's in. There's Mouth, the Charioteer. Good effects all around so far. Yeah, I really like the way this deck looks. We have a pretty good curve, too. Can we sort by... how is this sorting our pool? It looks like it's doing it by multicolor. But that's not right because it's not doing the Heaven and Earth at the top. That's weird. Huh. Well, whatever. Does it let you make the deck here? Well, we can look at the bot decks, but I'm more interested in just really quickly going through what I think our deck can do. So why don't we do a count for these Javelineers to see if they ended up being worth it, right? So we have Deemworthy, Mouth and Feed, Magma Spray, that's 3. 4 with Synchronized Strike, 5 with Spring, but I don't think we're probably not gonna end up playing it. 5 with Spidery Grasp, 6 Spidery Grasp. Violent Impact we can, just because it's got Cycle, but probably not end up playing it. 7 with Heaven and Earth. Not going to main deck the Deliverance. Not going to main deck the Impetrous Mark. So 8 with Benefaction of Ronus, which is certainly an acceptable amount for the Javelineers. So we'll play those 8 non-creature spells. And then we've got, so that with 17 lands, that leaves us with space for how many creatures? So 17 plus 8, that's 25. That leaves us space for 15 creatures. So we'll go Samut, Charioteer, that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And then our 15th creature will be maybe the Soulscar Mage over the Companion, just because it's more interesting. So, yeah, there's our build. I like it a lot. I hope you guys enjoyed this. This was good, actually. It gave me a little bit of experience with the format, too. Like I said, this is not going to be completely indicative of how you're going to be able to draft in the format. But all in all, I mean, we got the removal. We have very cheap, efficient spells. We have board wipe. We have powerful finishers. We've got good stall boards. We've got cool removal spells to try out. So I like this deck a lot. Feel free to criticize as necessary, or what you would have done differently. So thanks so much for watching, and looking forward to drafting Amonkhet for you all tomorrow. So see you then.